Take it away.
All right.
Go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday Wisdom, where we show you tips, tricks, and techniques on band instrument repair, especially on saxophone. Today, we're going to go over some key reaming and key fitting techniques with Ryan and myself. Sorry, Rich is not able to make it. I'm a taller, hairier version.
Yeah. Rich is out in his professional scooting, tour. He's a professional scootist.
I know. It's a side hustle.
He's nationally ranked. He's last, but he's still ranked. It's okay.
But today our hashtag is advanced sax repair.
Hold on. Let me get it.
Oh, it's coming.
You jumped it.
There it is. Oh,
you got to see it. It's all the way.
Sax repair.
It's all the way down
on the bottom there. Make sure to put that hashtag in the comments to make sure that you're put in the drawing for next week's prize.
Share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Sorry, it's my Tourette's. I've started to just randomly yell that. I wake up in the middle of the night. Like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell.
So it goes right back to sleep.
That's right, and go right back to sleep. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, click the bell. You get advance notices when we go live, like we are now.
Yep. So. And you also get the prize for the next few weeks is 10% off of all of our courses.
That's right.
And that actually brings me to our winner from last week, which is Charles Spann. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching and putting our hashtag and stuff in the comments. To claim your prize, please email Rich, R-I-C-H, at MusicMedic.com. He will square you away and get everything you need to ready to go to get that prize for the course. Which also leads me to our couple courses that are coming up in the next couple months. We have one coming up next month, September 19th through 22nd. I look so much better as a calendar.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Our viewership just doubled when I did that.
It's crazy. Our next one is coming up in September 19th through the 22nd. It is our advanced saxophone repair course, where we'll actually be going over how to make some of the tools we will be going over with you today, actually. So it's a very, very cool and in-depth course. Unfortunately, our engraving course in October is full. So it just kind of gives you a little more urgency. If you are interested in that saxophone course coming up in September, please do not hesitate to enroll and take advantage of all the cool teachings you can learn here.
So there you go. Thanks, Leroy. All right, I'll see you later. So the repair one the engraving one, all full. Like I said, we've only got a certain amount of spots for each of the course. We've got 2 left for the advanced sax course. Like I said, if you guys are even thinking about doing it, now would be the time to sign up.
Absolutely.
You can ask any questions. Rich, R-I-C-H, at MusicMedic.com. Feel free to email, which leads us into some advanced saxophone repair course techniques, which is how to ream key ends.
Awesome. And you know what? This happens. I know you and I both know, and a lot of saxophone players know that this happens all the time. But when would we actually do this? Like, as on the repair end of it, what would actually cause us to go down this road?
Well, first we gotta look at what keys we're going to be actually reaming.
Yes.
And if you know the keys on the saxophone, there are 2 ways it can be held on. Either you have a solid rod going between posts, or you have a basically pivot screws on either end. And we are dealing with the keys, the longer keys that have pivot screws on either end. So the key itself is actually solid. Okay, it's not hollow like a lot of the other shorter keys that have a hinge rod that goes through it. So we'd be dealing with the longer keys, like your side E, your bell keys, your G key, and what we would be doing, and it has to be a certain type, okay, is we would be doing it so that we free the instrument up. So the keys would usually bind, or whatever we would do, or whatever would happen, the keys would bind. We would actually ream those keys out. So the first thing we're going to go over is the 2 different types, okay, the false taper and true taper. If you've kind of been following along with our repair videos, I've kind of coined the phrase true taper and false taper, and it's basically false taper is, here's the post, here is the pivot screw, and the key end. And the key end is very different than a true taper. It just has a hole that's drilled in it, okay? And this you'll find in a lot of the import horns. Cannonball, P. Marriott, Eastman, whatever other ones that you can find out there. It looks very similar to a true tapered system. The true tapered system, the post looks very similar. The pivot screw is just slightly different. But the biggest difference is the end of the key, rather than having just a hole drilled into it, it actually has a corresponding tapered hole that should match the taper of the pivot screw. Okay, this system of reaming out key ends can really only be done with this true tapered system. Okay, so if you're dealing with other instruments, false tapered system, Busher, Kahn, King, this really wouldn't apply all that much to you, although there are cases where I do end up having to slightly ream out key ends. But the main time that you're going to be doing this is when you're dealing with the true tapered system. That would be instruments like Mark VI, which is what you see here, Yamaha, Yanagasawa, Kyleworth. You're not going to find it with the brand new Selmers because they have a different pivot screw system. We would not be doing that on this.
Series 1?
The Series 1, yes, the Super Action 80 Series 1 Selmer does have traditional true tapered style pivot screw systems, but the later one, Series 2, Series 3, I even believe the reference series, and then the Supreme, they all have the spring-loaded bushing. So to show you kind of what we're working with, you can kind of see it here. Okay, I do have a closer view. There we are. Okay, so there are my pivot screw reamers. So what I have here is I have them in a pin vise, and this is how I actually operate them. I don't do it under power. I'm not using a hand drill or a bench motor or anything like that. And this is how I'm holding them. This is, you can see an example of a key that we would be reaming the ends. This is the longer side E key. Okay, so this is obviously not hollow. It just has the ends, and hopefully it's the true tapered system where it has that tapered end. So what I would do, okay, first off is, like you asked at the beginning was, when would we do this?
Right.
We wouldn't do this if the key is loose. Okay, if the key is loose, we're going to do something completely different. Okay, and we've probably gone over it in one of our videos. If you sign up for the advanced saxophone repair course, there's the hashtag, put it in the comments. If you sign up for the advanced saxophone repair course, you will learn both of these techniques where we will go over how to counterbore pivots and how to ream key ends. Right. You would be doing this technique when the key is very tight and bindy. Let's say something happened for whatever reason and you go to move this key and it's very tight, it's very binding. A lot of times in the sax pro shop we call it cloudy. Okay, so what would we do to free that up? Well, we would go in and actually ream out the end of the keys. So to show you kind of what we would be doing, again, here's the drawing.
I love the drawings.
That's right. If it's really good, we get to put it up on the fridge.
There you go.
So
with the sticker on it.
That's right. So what we're dealing with again is this section right here. Okay, we are reaming out this section. So what happens is when you assemble this pivot screw is actually maybe going to press in a little too far and it causes the key to actually bind. So what we have to do is take a little bit of material away from right here. We can't just take a drill bit and drill a hole because then the thing is going to be super loose. Okay, we have to maintain this taper, which is where we're going to use our pivot screw reamers. Okay, so what I would do is I would pick a pivot screw reamer that has the exact same taper and shape as my pivot screw. Okay, I would get in there just with my, like I said, just with a pin vise, not under power, and I'm just kind of slightly scooping away at that metal, and I'm making this tapered hole just a little bit deeper in the end of the key. Okay, so I'd maybe do that just a little bit. I would put it back on the instrument. I would check to see if it's freed up. If it's still bindy, I would come back. I would maybe scoop out a little bit more, and there you go. Done. End the video.
End the video, and it's done.
That's right. Done.
So if for some reason, I'm glad you mentioned the don't put it under power. Mm-hmm. And I guess the biggest question that I would want to ask, or if someone wanted to know, would be like, I know you kind of mentioned it, but I kind of want to, go over it a little bit again. It's like, why would you not want to either put it under power, or why would you not want to put too much pressure on the reamer while you're doing the keyboard? The big thing is you're just taking very small amounts of metal. It's surprising how little metal you need to remove from this hole here in order to get this to free up. Like I said, you're not going to be drilling. You're not going to be putting all your weight into it. There's not a lot of elbow grease that goes into it. It's literally just holding this in place and spinning this, assuming your pivot screw reamers are sharp enough, which may lead you to the next question, Leroy, which is, where do we get these? Yeah, that's a great question.
That's a great question. And if you sign up again for our advanced saxophone, it's not a commercial, folks. It's not a commercial, I swear. But if you sign up for our advanced saxophone repair course, you will learn how to make these pivot screw reamers because they're not easily bought. You can't just go to Selmer and say, hey, give me a pivot screw reamer for a Mark VI. They're going to look at you crazy.
And they won't know really.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to speak French to you, and you're not going to understand it unless you actually speak French. In that case, you probably will understand it, but either way, they're not going to have it. So what I have done with all of mine, as you can see here, is I have made all of those. So I have made one for a Mark VI. I've made one for a Yamaha. I've made one for different models and different brands. There we are. So that's kind of where we're at now. Although, not to let the cat out of the bag quite yet.
A little bit of grapevine stuff.
Yeah, not to let the cat out of the bag quite yet. Word on the street is, we here at MusicMedic are working on a set of pivot screw reamers.
Yep.
In fact, I know that because I work here and I'm actively involved in the project. But the other reason was we actually had some that we brought to the NAPR conference. That we debuted, and eventually in the somewhat distant future, not too far, but then again, not too close.
Near distant.
Yeah, near distant, near distant or somewhat, you have to kind of do one of these to see it. We are going to be making our own pivot screw reamers. The tough thing about making a pivot screw reamer is making sure that taper tip matches your pivot screws, okay? Because you can do a lot of damage if you take a reamer that you've made that doesn't have that right shape, and you ream out the end of your keys. You're actually doing more damage than good, and then that's a whole other video that we have to do on how to fix that mistake.
We actually have one last question here, actually.
Oh.
It's a good one.
Okay.
So everything's good to go. There's no slop in the key. All the key fitting is good.
Yep.
When you're done with all that, what's the process as far as like oiling, greasing, that kind of stuff?
That's a great question. Yeah, this still needs to be done. You still need to oil and grease your keys. What I will use is our Ultimax pivot and roller lubricant. And we have it in a handy dandy syringe. And then I will actually just apply it directly into the end of the key. And that's usually good to go. But you do have to oil and grease it up.
You want to show them in the crazy cam?
Oh no. It's the Ryan cam. Hey folks, don't tell us Leroy this, but you're going to oil it right in here. Okay. A little bit of that pivot and roller lubricant. All right, back to us. That's the Ryan cam. That's a new feature.
That was a super secret.
Yeah, you see what happens.
I don't know what happens.
I was going to say, you see what happens when Rich is not here. We get things like the Ryan cam. So I apologize, but not really. So yeah, so like I said, we went over the courses, we went over our winner, we went over that hashtag. Again, guys, make sure you put the hashtag not only in the comments, but in both comments. There's like a live stream of the comments, and then there's the actual comments. Go ahead and put it in both, just in case. Hashtag advanced sax repair. Again, we have that course coming up September 19th through the 22nd. 2 spots left. So if you're at all thinking about it, if you would even like to remotely learn how to make
that tool,
pivot screw reamers or other tools, and other saxophone, advanced saxophone techniques, sign up for our advanced saxophone repair course. Let's see, what else?
Like, share, subscribe.
Oh yeah, like, share, and subscribe. How could I forget? Oh my goodness.
No, what happened?
I know. I get a nickel every time I say that. Like, share, subscribe. It's 15 cents right there.
There we go.
So, click the bell.
Click the bell.
That's the 4th one.
Thanks for watching.
Yep.
And until next time, happy repairing.
Keep waving.
Keep waving.
Keep waving.
Gotta wave past the saxophone.